Hello. Hey, everybody. I'm using new software today, so I hope everything looks and sounds okay. We're using StreamYard and a new camera. So that way the camera doesn't shut off on us in an hour. So hopefully we can not get cut off. Anywho, I'm Angela. Thank you for joining me today. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me okay. Because I can adjust anything if I need to, but let me know. Thank you for joining me today on another Tuesday live Q&A. I'm hoping everything is working okay. Let me just say, it looks like I'm live. I look like I look okay. Okay, great. Fabulous. All right. Well, today's poll is, do you or have you ever produced spicy books? And you know what I mean. And it looks like we have 10 votes already. And let's see, 30% of you said yes, 50% said no, and 20% said no, but open to it. That's awesome. I kind of thought it would go that way. And just to test some of the features here, this was today's poll. Let's see if it pops up there. Yeah, do you or have you produced spicy audiobooks? Pretty cool. So if you have or have not, and you'd like to participate in the poll, I would recommend that you do that. So how is everybody today? I see we got a lot of people in the comments. Thank you. I see some comments about, I look and sound terrific. Great, you sound fine. Awesome. Well, good. I'm hoping this will be a good alternative to what I was doing before in terms of having too much tech in my room. It just, all the clutter in here just makes my anxiety go through the roof. But cool. I'm glad that everybody is here and I am coming through okay. Anyway, I'm Angela. I'm a full-time audiobook narrator and voice actor, and my channel is dedicated to all of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover. And I welcome you to the industry. I welcome you to my channel. If you have a question or just want to say hi, please type it in the chat. We'll start going through the chat questions here in a moment. It looks like, okay, I just want to make sure everybody can see me. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's start with the first question. Let's see. Nope, that's the wrong one. Let's do this one. There we go. That would be Amy. And she says, how did you figure out your pricing? Do you price high for the first 100 words, then lower pricing after that? Or do you price low for the first 100, then raise the price after that? I try to say, or to stay consistent in my pricing, just because it makes it easier to calculate the math. Although myself included and a lot of other people have used whatever pricing you decide. Let me just back step a little bit. Whatever pricing you decide, you want to keep it consistent across all platforms. That way you can, if you have somebody that found you on Upwork or Fiverr, for example, and then they Google you and they find you on your website, and then they reach out to you on your website because they don't want to pay the Upwork or Fiverr fees, you want to make sure that your pricing that you give them is still consistent with what's on Fiverr, Upwork, wherever else they found you, because the last thing you want, right, is a customer to go, hey, your prices are super low over here, but you're telling me that it's going to be, twice as much here. So whatever you do decide on pricing, keep it consistent across platforms. But I typically keep it consistent. Each 100 words is the same price, just so it makes it easy to figure out the math later. I'm guessing you're talking about probably Fiverr, I would think. But the trick is, with Fiverr in particular, is that you have hundreds and thousands of other people in your same level on Fiverr, and you need to keep your pricing not consistent, but pretty much the same, if not equal, to everyone else around you in your experience level. That way you're still competitive in your pricing, or you could go just below. Fiverr is pretty cool in that you could really get creative with your pricing structure. And stay like that initial gig price that the client sees as they're scrolling through. You want them to stop and at least look at it and listen to your demos, right? So it's pretty tricky, but to answer your question, I know it was long-winded, but to answer your question, I try to keep it consistent, just for ease of figuring out pricing later. I hope that makes sense. Let's go to the next one. We got Michael V says, "Woohoo, it's Tuesday. Time to be on with Angela." Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you spending some time here. I always appreciate when you guys stop in and say hi and just hang out. Love it. All right. And then we have Andy B. Hello, Andy B. Hello again, one and all. And then we have Mark Flores says, "Good morning, Angela. I hope you are having a great day." I am so far. It's still early here in Phoenix, but so far so good. Do you have tips on promoted gigs? What's best, setting to the automatic mode or setting the maximum cost per click? I have not used the automatic mode. I'm trying to keep, because I don't want Fiverr to take advantage of the automatic setting. I like to keep, I guess I'm controlling in that respect, but I'd like to know what I'm spending up front. I don't want to put it on automatic mode, although I know some people who do because it's just easier. You're automatically going to outbid everybody in that category. So I have not used the automatic mode, but give it a try, and see if it works for you. I might look into possibly, sorry, I'm clicking too many buttons. I might look into trying it myself just to see if it helps, but I have not used the automatic yet. Holy Moses, we got lots of people in here. Woo! Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Michael V says, "It's a gorgeous day in Connecticut. Thank you for joining." Brittany's here. Finally, a Tuesday. I don't have a 9 a.m. meeting. Happy to make it today. Oh, I'm sorry. 9 a.m. meetings. You know what's even rougher are like 6 o'clock meetings. I could never make those. But I'm glad that you were able to stop by. Sean Lester says, "You look and sound fine." Okay, everybody's saying you sound great. Audio and video are great. Great. That's great. Thank you guys for letting me know. Because, hi, random memes. I see you. Hi, random memes. That's great. I'm glad you guys think the audio and video sound great. I'm using, as I said before, I'm using StreamYard instead of OBS this time, just because it has a little bit more functionality and the ability to share comments on the screen and to have overlays and stuff like that. And it's actually not that expensive, although OBS is completely free. StreamYard is a nice alternative if you do lives like this, because I can share my screen. I can have multiple people on the screen. So I did a little, of course, research before I started to use it. And it's, if you're considering doing any kind of live broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, anything like that, I recommend StreamYard. So far, it's been pretty easy to use. And then I got a new camera. I went and upgraded my webcam game. I'm not using the DSLR today because it tends to shut off after an hour. So yada, 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 right? Phil says, "Hey, Angela." Hey, Phil. Thanks for joining. Diane is here. Hi, Diane. Good morning. And then we got JCCAOL says, "Hello, sorry I missed all of you last week. I had to go to the dentist." Oh, that stinks. Sorry about that. Hope everything is okay, but you got to do that. Oral health is important, right? And then Brittany says, "I'm doing some spicy books as a confidence boosting exposure therapy exercise. I'm an incredibly shy person, so making myself do something out of my comfort zone has been very cathartic for me." That's a great point. I never thought of it that way, but I guess it does. It makes sense. It really makes sense. Not only is there a lot of money in those types of books and those types of audiobooks, and most of those I have found have been royalty share, which is fine. However, I mean, you're only limited to the 7 years that your name is on it, but I think with the popularity of spicy books right now, I think it's not a bad idea. And you can use a pseudonym. You do not have to use your name for spicy books. You can use a pseudonym if you choose. Although I know a lot of voice actors that have no problem putting their actual name on them, but you can use a pseudonym if you want to. But I never thought of it in that respect, because forcing yourself to say these things, I think, would definitely get you more comfortable with saying and thinking about, and, maybe, like you said, get you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So that's a really great point. It's a really great point, Brittany. Oh, and then she adds, under a pseudonym, of course. Yes, you totally can. Of course you can. You know what? Let's hop on over to the poll really quick. Like, I want to see where we're at. Okay, so we have 28 votes right now. Do you or have you produced? Let me put the poll question on the screen there. Do you or have you produced spicy books? Is the poll for today. So far, we have 28 votes. 18% said yes. 58. Sorry, it just changed. 17% said yes. 52% said no, and 31 said no, but open to it. Interesting. I thought it would have been more yeses, but I get it. I mean, it's kind of, it can be overwhelming and sort of terrifying all at the same time. But again, you can use a pseudonym if you want to. So you don't have to use your name if you don't want to. All right, let's hop back over to the comments. Oh my goodness, there's so many of you in here today. Hold on, I lost my place. Rustic Hillbilly, good morning. Says, morning, hope you're staying cool in your closet. Actually, no, I think the air conditioner has not kicked on yet today, but we're trying to keep it under control because it's 9 o'clock in the morning and it's already 92 degrees, although it's only supposed to be, I think, and I know, supposed to be, but, or already, but it's supposed to be, I think, 105 today, which we were in the 114, 15 range a few days ago. So it shouldn't be too bad, but no, it's hot in here. It's hot in here already. Oh my gosh. Klaus says, hi, hello from hot Germany. Oh, it's hot there too. Yeah, it's that time of year. I'm sorry. I hope you have good ventilation wherever you're sitting in. I had Don Barnes show me how to remove my air conditioner sound. Well, show me that it could be done, remove my air conditioner sound from my audio recordings using the isotope plugins. But I have to have him show me how he did it. And I'm hoping that maybe I can get him into our platinum group to show everybody who uses isotope plugins how to do that. Because if I can keep recording with the air conditioner on and not have it completely destroy my voice, trying to remove the sound, that would be huge. Because in the summertime, if you're in a place also that it gets really hot in the summer and the air conditioner seems like it's constantly running, having a great tool like that could be an absolute game changer. So I think I'm going to have to hook up with Donnie. And Donnie, if you watch this, thank you for that. Thank you for showing me that it can be done. And you and I need to get together so you can show me how you did that, so I can properly use my plugins that I already have and didn't know that they could do that. So Diane says, do you start narrating a book from the copyright and ISBN information, or including that if the book starts with something ahead of it, like about the author? Your very first file is going to be your opening credits. And your opening credits is going to be simply the title of the book, subtitle of the book, if there is one, written by the author's name, narrated or read for you by, and then your name, and that's it for the opening credits. But that copyright page is going to come into play in the closing credits at the very end of the book. And the closing credits start out pretty much like the opening credits, which is this has been, title of the book, subtitle of the book, written by the author, and then narrated by or read for you by your name. And then you're going to insert there copyright and then the copyright date, whatever the copyright date of the book is, by whoever owns the copyright. Could be the publisher, could be the author, right? Or a couple of people who own the rights to that book. And then the end in the closing credits. But you do not read out the copyright page or the ISBN page. You do not read out the table of contents. You do not read out any references or anything like that. If there is an about the author or any kind of other, comes that frog again, any other kind of what they call back matter, which is not really part of the audiobook itself or the book body, any of that stuff, dedications about the author, stuff like that, other books available by, that stuff typically does not get included, but you can ask the rights holder if they want it included with their book. Excuse me. I would say maybe 10% of the time the author wants the about the author. Most of the time you just want the book, what the client or what the listener purchased to listen to on Audible, which is the opening credits, an introduction, if there is one, or straight into chapter 1, and then each chapter, each subsequent chapter after that, and then the closing credits, right? That's typically about it. But if there is an about the author, then you want to just ask the rights holder if they want it included in their audiobook. And then that, of course, would be a separate file also. Let's see, Robert Palmore. My mouth is faster than my brain. Says morning, Robert. Thank you for joining. Daisy Hip Hop says, where can I get a certification course for being an audiobook editor? You don't need to be certified to be an audiobook editor. If you know how to edit audiobooks, go for it. Go for it. That could be, and I always recommend that if you have those skills, if you don't have a book currently that you're producing, narrating, editing, formatting, and you have the know-how to edit audiobooks, offer that service. There's been a few times myself where I've had too many books in queue and I didn't have time to edit the books that I had just finished narrating. I had to move on to the next book. So having someone that is trustworthy and available to edit the book for me, that's huge. But you don't have to be certified. If you have the know-how and the skill, then offer it as a gig on Fiverr, for example. I would. I have. I'm just too busy to take on extra editing work right now. Beautiful here in North. My God, I just had a brain fart. Oh my gosh. I'm glad that it's beautiful everywhere and it's not hot everywhere. It's still 92 degrees here. New Hampshire. It's awesome. Deborah Ramirez says, good morning. Good morning, Deborah. Thank you for thank you for joining today. Random Meme says, yeah. Kirk is here. Hey, Kirk. Hello, darling. Video, audio, much better this week. Oh, good. Yeah, last week I'm trying new things, right? I'm trying out new software and I'm going to share my results with you. You know, if you decide to go to live stream yourself, here, what's the big deal with sharing what I found out? But again, if you joined late, Kirk, I have a new web camera. I'm not using the DSLR today. I'm using a web camera. So, but it actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's not as crisp looking, I think, but it's still pretty good. So I'm going to go with it. And then I'm also using StreamYard to stream, and because it has all of these elements where I can put comments on the screen and stuff. So far it's been pretty awesome, but thank you for letting me know. Diane says, my only issue with StreamYard is that although I'm facing right to everyone else, it's backwards for me and gets confusing. I think you can change in the settings to mirror the image so it flips it. I literally downloaded this and was playing with it yesterday, but so far, I think if you go into settings for the camera settings, yeah, you can mirror the camera so it flips it around. That might be a little bit easier for you, or make it less confusing. Let's hop on over to the poll really quick. So far, we have 32 votes. I'm going to put the because I can. I'm going to put the poll question on the screen again. Again, the poll question was, do you or have you produced spicy books? I heard an ow in the other room. You all right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So far we have 33 votes. Right now we have 18% of you said yes. 55% of you said no. 27% said no, but open to it. I would encourage you to give it a try. If you're open to it, give it a try. You can use a pseudonym. And if it's a royalty share book, there can be a lot of money in those. Just saying. I think we've all done it at one time or another. There's no shame. No shame in the game. If you're okay with it, if you're comfortable with it, why not? I lost my place again. Doop-a-doop-doo. Random Memes says, how many projects have you done? I have done, if we're talking audiobooks, over 100. If we're talking voiceovers, over 2,000 or 3,000, I think at this point. Quite a few. Andy B says, what camera are you using? Oh, I never said the camera. I used to have a Logitech C920, which was a very good web camera and a lot of great options that you could do with it, like share screen and screen and do all of those things. This new one is the Logitech Brio. It finally came down in price. When it first came out, it was just stupid expensive, but I caught it on sale on Amazon, and I've been keeping my eye on it. And it was a tough decision between the Logitech Brio, and I think I was also looking at the Elgato Facecam and the Logitech Streamcam, or maybe I have those two flipped around. But I chose the Brio because it had the ability to shoot in 4K, and it looks pretty darn good. It does this weird like brightening thing, which I haven't been able to adjust, but I mean, for the most part, it looks pretty good. I mean, granted, I'm streaming, so it's probably not the best. And StreamYard, you can't shoot in 1080p without going to of course, their like premium membership. But this is 720, and it doesn't actually look that bad. I'm pretty happy with it. So even in 720, it's not that bad. Robert Palmer says, spicy books, easy for me. 11 years in the military, said and heard some very spicy stuff. I bet you have. And when you're narrating these books, you find yourself saying some of the same words over and over and over. And I had to step away quite a few times and just laugh. Because you're just like, really? Oh my gosh. But if you've already heard and said, and it might be a little bit easier for you to do. Chris is here. Hi, Chris. Chris says it's my go-to genre. And if you heard his voice, you would know why. Not sure if it's my voice, it is your voice, or just lack of auditions. But I get lots of responses from spicy, not so much from everything else. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with your voice, to be honest, and the way that you approach narration, like your pacing and your tone. I think you're well suited for it. But hey, if it's paying the bills, why not? Hi from Colorado. Hi, Molly. Thank you for joining from Colorado today. I've always wanted to go to Colorado. I've never been. I've been to more countries than I have states in my own, which is kind of silly. JCCAOL says in Wisconsin, it's supposed to be 93 degrees with, high humidity. Well, people, when we talk about heat here in Arizona, we always say, oh, yeah, but it's a dry heat. Like that makes it any better. It's still an oven outside. But you know what? I would take the dry heat over the humidity because going back to visiting different countries, I was in Dubai for like 10 days. And it was, oh my gosh, it was like 80-90% humidity or something crazy. And it was like also 100+ degrees. was miserable. I don't know. I guess you would acclimate, but it was just really, really, that was, that was an experience. I'm not acclimated for that. I mean, heat, yeah, but boy. All right. John Popovich says, "Good morning, Angela." Good morning, John. Thanks for the advice on the workshop yesterday. I started my first audiobook and turned in my 15-minute checkpoint. Hopefully they like it. Well, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I'm crossing my fingers for you, though. That's great. I think this was the one we were talking about in the Facebook group about using PayPal to invoice them, or the 25% down up front. Was that the same one? Am I thinking of the right one? But if it is, then I'm glad that you accepted it, and so far so good. And then he says, "If you are new to this channel, please listen to Angela's advice. She has very good advice for VO and audiobook narration." Thanks, John. You're a sweetheart. I'm just sharing what I have learned myself. So I'm glad that it helps. I am. Sean Lester 007 says, "Do you have a travel kit so you can do VOs on the road when you travel?" I do. I take my Sennheiser, and then I also have a Zoom recorder. I don't have it here in my office. It's in the closet, but it's basically if you Google Zoom, I think it's called an H6, H5, H6. There's a few different, of course, newer versions. They update it all the time, but it's a travel unit that you can hook up an XLR mic to and run it off of batteries, or you can plug it into the wall. You can insert an SD card into it so you can record VO into it and then upload it into your laptop to edit it. And that thing is amazing. That is definitely in my travel kit. So my travel kit would consist of a desk mic arm, and then I would take my Sennheiser with a shock mount and my Zoom recorder. And because the Zoom recorder also, I should probably add, serves as the interface also. So it will power the microphone. And that's really all you need. I mean, of course, you need headphones to listen back, but and then some pillows, wherever you're going, try to make, to buffer the echo around you. So you might need to make yourself like a little cubby, what are those things called? Like a pillow fort, pillows and blankets, and try to keep the echo down wherever you are. But that's really all you need, right? So you could probably fit all of that stuff in your carry-on. I would not check that stuff in. I would keep it on my person. I actually had I was going to go to the One Voice conference last year, and then decided at the last minute to not go in person, but to attend virtually. So I had a big like carry-on bag that's also served as a purse, but I could fit my microphone, my Zoom, my laptop, all of the things that I needed to take with me to keep on my person, because you definitely want to check that stuff. You want to keep it with you. But I recommend that everybody at least have an idea of what you would like to use for your travel kit, because you don't want to have a client contact you while you're on vacation and said, "Hey, I've got this really great opportunity, or this really great job for you," and you have to say, "Hey, I won't be home for another week," and then potentially miss out on that job and any other subsequent jobs from that client in the future. So having a travel kit with you would just be nothing but advantageous for you and your career. Lost my place again. You know what? Let's hop on over to the poll really quick like. So again, today's poll question was, have you, or do you, or have you produced spicy books? We have 36 votes, and 17% of you said yes. 56% said no. And the 28% that said no but open to it, I would definitely not dismiss it, discount it. I would look into it, because you can use a pseudonym. Why not? Right? But I thought there would have been more people that had tried it, that had said yes. So for those of you that are considering, Give it a try. Okay, hang on. So I'm trying to find where I left off. I think I'm here. Tony says, "Hi, Angela. Greetings from Ireland." Wow. Well, greetings from sunny Arizona in the United States. You're rocking the blonde look. Thanks. Yeah, I usually bounce between blonde and like a strawberry blonde, sometimes deep red, you know. Recently, an actor who says that VO is saturated with people looking for work. What do you think? Is he being defeatist or on the money? There are, if you think about all of the people that have, the great resignation, everybody has left their jobs, everybody is looking for stuff to do at home. And at first blush, when you first hear about voiceover work and audiobook work, it sounds relatively easy, right? All you have to do is talk into a mic, right? So there's a lot of people that are probably going to try it and see if they like it and see if it's going to help them pay their bills, if it's what they're looking for to not have to go back to the corporate life. But not all those people are going to stick with it because there's a lot more to it than just talking into a mic, right? You have to learn how to use your DAW, what to do with your DAW, how to act and emote and to have different character voices and to edit and all of the technical stuff about how to hook up your heart. There's a lot more to it than just speaking into a microphone. So I think all of the people looking to start voiceover, not everybody is going to see it through because they're going to discover their house is too noisy. They don't have they can't get the settings right. They can't get their audio, whatever it is. Maybe it's boring. That's not what they thought it was going to be. So not all those people are going to stay in this industry. But there are a lot of people who do stay. And then, as I always say, voice actors represent the world. There's going to be a huge variety of different voices, age groups, the way that your voice sounds, different age groups, different everything. I mean, we represent every single person in the world. Even if you have like a weird lisp or something like that, don't let that keep you from trying voiceover work because we have to have all of those voices. So there's so many different choices in voice, the way your voice sounds. So I think there is still a lot of work out there because human voice, is still used for so much. I mean, if you think about, phone messages and audio descriptions and dubbing over movies in different languages and audiobooks and commercials, there's voice needed for just about everything. And so I think there's opportunity for everybody. I really do. I don't think it's not necessarily saturated with people looking for work. I think we're all always looking for work, but I think the key is really getting to find out where your niche is in voiceover. For example, mine is e-learning, long form narration, documentaries, how-tos, audiobooks. I do a lot of long form. And then once I have that down, then I start to find and earn the trust of clients and then repeat clients. And then they come back and they come back and they come back. So that definitely helps. But I think there's still plenty for everyone if you really stop and think about where human voice is used. I even record scripts that I sound like an AI. So AI is even not being used for AI scripts. It's still a voice actor performing as an AI. So there's still lots of work out there. Where am I? I think I'm here. Fezendek. Did I say that right? Hi, Angela. Hello from Russia. Well, hello. We started having a job problem here at the moment. I get a lot of inspiration and information from your channel. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, I'm so glad. That was the intent of this channel and this live stream, was to help you maybe understand, to teach you some of the lingo, to teach you, just to share with you what I have learned that may help you overcome an obstacle or a challenge, or, I mean, in the very beginning, like I said before, there is a lot of information in this industry, a lot to learn, a huge learning curve. And if you can have one or two people that can just be open and transparent and honest with you, you know, I looked for that. I needed that in the beginning. So that's what I'm here for. I'm paying it forward. All of the people that I listened to and asked questions of in the very beginning, I'm paying that forward with you guys. So it's my pleasure, really. Cindy says, "Hi from New Hampshire." Hello, hello. Michael V says, "I found it worthwhile to get trained as an audio engineer so I can offer that as a service as well." I think that's great. I think having other skills that can happily marry with voiceover to offer to other voice actors or whatever is a great skill, a great thing, great skills to learn. Absolutely. Because now you can help other people, like with podcasting or dialogue editing. It's great. That's a great thing to understand because not everybody can understand that, right? Tony says, "A cool 64 degrees here in Cork. Yes, video and quality looks good. Great. Wow, 64 sounds nice. It's still 92 degrees here, so hopefully it won't get too bad." Fazendek, God, I hope I'm saying that right. "Nice comment on screen widget. Where can I get that?" I am using StreamYard. I've been using OBS for the longest time to do my streams and record my YouTube videos, but I came across somebody had said StreamYard. I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And then of course I went into research mode. I was looking at all of the YouTube channels that walk you through the tutorials for StreamYard and how to use it. And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like that could be a really great option for this in particular," right? Because I wanted to be able to show comments on screen and have overlays and stuff like that. And so far it's been great. And plus I also got a new camera. I'm trying to reduce the clutter in my studio here because I had like 2 cameras and a bunch of lights and it's stressing me out. So new camera, new streaming software. So far so good. This is the first time I'm trying both of these together. So far it looks pretty good. So I think we might stick with this. Amy says, "Looks like you're using a shotgun mic. What's the pop filter?" I'm using the sleeve that came with my mic, but I've heard they can muffle things. It is a shotgun mic. It's a Sennheiser 416. This is the pop filter. It also came with, the little sleeve that goes on it, the pop filter that goes on it. I didn't think that it muffled me. And I know a few other voice actors that also use a shotgun mic, namely, I think the 416, that they also use the sleeve on. And I think they sound fine, just in meetings. Of course, over the internet, it's not always going to be crisp, clear audio. However, from what I can tell, it sounds just fine. I think the reason I chose this one in particular is because I was doing video recordings and live streams and meetings and stuff like that. And I didn't want a pop filter in my face while I was trying to talk to people. So this was a nice alternative. There was somebody in the chat, I think, last week that had, I think, pretty much nailed down where to find this pop filter. So, and forgive me, my memory is just garbage. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that was last week or the week before. So if you go back to in my channel for the live Q&As, go back to the one just before this one or the one before that. I wish I could remember what it was. I'll have to find out, but I haven't been able to find this particular one again. So I'm hoping it's still available somewhere. Diane says, "Cindy Windsor, where in New Hampshire?" I'm in effing. Yay, we're going to have some friends. Yeah, from beyond. Too funny. Hold on, here we go. Sean Lester says, "VO problems. A mosquito buzzed my microphone last night. It took a while for me to catch it." I hate mosquitoes. I'm a pretty tolerant person as far as, creatures of nature go. Mosquitoes are not allowed anywhere near me or in my house. No mosquitoes. Gnats. I'm surprised there's no gnats in here. I usually have a gnat that I don't even know how they get in here or what they're after. There's nothing interesting in here apart from me. But not to say that I'm interesting, but I mean, as far as what would attract gnats, I don't. But I have no bugs in here today. But mosquitoes, I will not tolerate. No mosquitoes. No. Signs by Stu says, books like those probably aren't on ACX. What sites would you use for those? They are on ACX. There are a ton of them on ACX. If you're not seeing them, you might want to go into your filters and uncheck the box that says exclude erotica, or I think, what is the other term? I'm trying to picture what it says, but you can search for, you can filter those results specifically. There are a lot of them. But if you don't want to use ACX, or you're in a country where ACX is not available, you could create, if you wanted to use a pseudonym, even create a whole new persona for that pseudonym and then market that, through social media or ads or as a Fiverr gig. Although with Fiverr, you can't have multiple names. You can only have one profile, many different gigs, but they could be tied back to you. So I don't even offer spicy books on Fiverr. But ACX, I think, would be the place that I would go to. Or there might even be some standalone websites that offer those books in particular. I've had a few of them reach out to me to put me on their roster, but I couldn't tell you what their names were at the moment. But I think if you do a little Google, a little Google digging, you can probably find a few places where these books are offered that are actively looking for narrators for these types of books. Signs by Stu says, yeah, the Elgato Stream Cam is pretty nice. Yeah, those two were neck to neck for me. I was going to either pick the Elgato Stream Cam or the Logitech Brio, and I decided to go with the Brio because I have a lot of Logitech stuff already here in my studio, and I know that it lasts forever if you take care of it. So I went with the Logitech. Also, in addition to that, it also was the only camera that offered 4K. What you're seeing isn't 4K, but because you have to sign up for StreamYard's like platinum membership to be able to even use the 1080p. I don't think they even offer 4K, but if I wanted to record in 4K, I could with this camera. Like Olivia says, ooh, baby. Pritchard's Book Cafe says, Stephen from St. Joseph, Missouri, if I wanted to do a spicy book, where would I go to do this? Does the author find me? And on ACX, am I the producer? I really want to do children's stories. You could find just about any kind of book that you wanted on ACX. Children's books, spicy books, religious books. There are tons of different options for book genres on ACX. On ACX, the author can either find you via a sample that you post, or you could audition for the book. You could do it either way. And again, if you use a pseudonym and you're posting samples, I guess it would depend on what you want to do. If you wanted to do all kinds of books, you could post a sample of spicy, but it's probably going to show up in your name. I don't know if you can put the pseudonym in the sample. So just keep that in mind. But you could get it either way. I typically, if I'm looking for a spicy book, I'll just audition for it. But side note, if you are offered a spicy book to do, before you accept that contract, make sure that you let the author know that you are going to use a pseudonym. Many authors like to have audiobook specific cover art, and they will include your name in that cover art. So the cover art will say narrated by. You don't want your name on that cover art if you're using a pseudonym. So you definitely want to let that author know up front if you plan on using a pseudonym. So they have the time to get the cover art done while you're producing the audiobook, and then it's under the correct name. I'm glad that I remembered to say that. I always think of it later and go, oh my God, I forgot to say that. Molly Bolton says, I've been to AZ quite a few times since that's where my parents live. Originally from Alaska, moved down there, down here this year. Big change. Big change. Yeah. Arizona is, I'm from Southern California originally. So I'm used to the different temperature swings, but nothing as dramatic as Alaska, of course. But, in California, it's an hour to the mountains, an hour to the beach. So you have, quite a few different temperatures, especially well, I guess you don't really have like a winter unless you go to Northern California. I'm derailing myself, but it is a big change coming here to Arizona, even from Southern California, because the biggest difference is that it doesn't cool down at night. In California, it would get hot during the day, but it would cool down at night. It doesn't here in Arizona. It does, but not to the same degree as it did in California. It would get down to the 70s, 60s at night in California. Here in Arizona, it stays like 80, 90 at night. So I think that part was the biggest change for me. And then 120 is rough. 120 degrees in the summertime. All right, let's hop over to the poll really quick. 44 votes. We got lots of votes. Okay, so again, let me use my fancy banner. This is the poll for today. Do you or have you produced spicy books? And of course, that's what we're talking about today anyway. But the poll, just to pick your brains, we have 44 votes. 16% of you said yes. 50% of you said no. And 34% of you said no, but open to it. I think that category keeps growing as we discuss it. But I would encourage you, if you're open to it, there's a lot of money in that category. I would definitely give it a try. Try one. Go audition for a couple. Even with the audition that you're doing, you'll get a pretty good idea of what you'll be narrating. However, I think the auditions, I don't think that you can have really racy stuff, let's just say that, or spicy stuff in the audition itself. So just keep in mind that you might be saying some stuff that you probably never thought you would be saying before. But again, you can use a pseudonym, and there's a lot of money in that genre. So if you're open to it, give it a try. Go audition for a couple and see if you like it. See if it's something that you can do without laughing through it. All right. So I'm just clicking buttons again. Hold on. Where did we leave off? Oh my gosh. Where did we go? Oh my gosh. There's so many of you in here commenting. Thank you so much. Oh, here we go. Ralph says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, Ralph. Excuse me. Let me kick the frog out. Can you give some tips on invoicing? Invoicing. You can send invoices a couple different ways. If you use QuickBooks, you can send invoices that way. I have QuickBooks, but I also use PayPal Business. I use PayPal as a buffer between my bank account and other people. So with PayPal Business is where I typically send my invoices, and it makes it really easy to invoice there. You can create an invoice template where you can insert your logo and all of your company information into it. You can include in the, there's like a comment section that is verbiage that will show up on every invoice. And within that verbiage, you can include like your usage policy. For example, like I basically stating that I promise to not resell this or anything, you know what I mean? So, but you definitely want to get help from an attorney or someone who speaks, attorney speak to create that verbiage for you. But with those invoices, once you create an invoice and you start sending invoices out, it'll start kind of saving some of your settings So you can easily click, you can save all your clients too. So if you have like a repeating bill, like if a client comes back, you can save those clients in there. So you just have to push the button to insert the client. You can allow for tipping. You can allow for partial payment. You can change the due dates. You can send them a link to your invoice, or you can send them an actual invoice through PayPal, like via email. There's a few different options for that. But I think, I know all of this stuff is kind of overwhelming and intimidating, but it's really not if you really just get in there and just play with some stuff, and figure it out. And then you go like, oh, okay, well, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? Molly says, I just started narrating a paranormal romance, my first one, so it's new and exciting. I like paranormal romances. I read those. Nothing like too super spicy, but I like it with like vampires and witches and stuff. That's pretty cool. Diane says, they make those eyeball things that can surround a mic and the portable shields. They do. The thing about the chaotic eyeball or the ISO shields that go around your microphone is that they reduce the noise that is reflected from behind the mic and to the sides of the mic. But if you're in a room that isn't treated, when you speak, your voice is going to bounce around the room and then bounce off the wall behind you also and into the microphone. So it protects reverb all around the mic, except for what's directly in front of it, which is where your voice is. So there's still an opportunity for those particular, accessories, mic accessories, for your voice to have an echo. So it's always better to treat your space. I wouldn't use an ISO shield. I don't really recommend them. I mean, it's almost like you're buying something that's not really going to help you that much. You're much better off treating the space that you're in. Now, if you're using that as a part of your travel kit, that would be great. I mean, any kind of buffer to reduce the echo or the room noise is great, but just keep in mind that whatever's right in front of the mic, because your voice is coming in, right? Nothing is covering the front of your mic, is still going to have whatever's bouncing off behind you, so maybe above you, maybe to the side of you. So treating your space is always going to be a good idea. Michael V says, for the old people here, think of the Zoom H6 as a mini tape recorder and the tiny cassette, then imagine great sound. I resemble that remark. I can understand what a Zoom recorder is, Michael. Gosh. But that's a great analogy. I mean, it kind of is. It's just a digital tape recorder, basically. But it also serves as your interface. So it does a little bit more than that. But it's a great piece to have for your travel kit. Signs by Stu says, yeah, the Zoom recorder and the like are commonly called field recorders. They are pretty good even if you wanted to use it as your audio interface if you were on a budget and needed to be mobile. Good point. I think a lot of people actually also go out into nature and record nature sounds and then sell those to places like Storyblocks or, stuff like that. You could take it out and get some field recordings. But it's also great to use also for VoiceOver as a mobile interface recording device. Brittany says, I want to get a Zoom, but I would need to upgrade my mic too since I currently have a USB mic. The USB mic, you wouldn't even need a Zoom recorder. You would still need to have a laptop, something that you can edit on or move your recordings off the Zoom recorder into your laptop and then to edit it and then submit it to wherever you're going to submit it. But if you have a USB mic, then you could just literally plug your mic into your laptop and do that. So you wouldn't even really, in theory, even need a Zoom recorder. You could just do USB mic and laptop. Although you're probably going to get better sound quality from the Zoom recorder and an XLR mic as opposed to USB. But you could still use them as a travel kit. Amy says, is your pricing for audiobooks different than pricing for voiceover work? Yes, audiobooks are a completely different animal than voiceover. Audiobooks are charged per finished hour, and that's a finished hour of audio. And to get to that finished hour, it's going to take the narrating, the editing, the formatting. So in theory, not in theory, but depending on your skill level, it could take 3 to 7, 8 hours to complete a finished hour of audio. So audiobooks are completely different pricing structure than voiceover work. Most people start out with audiobooks that I know of, usually at about $50 per finished hour or $100 per finished hour. I'm currently at about 250, 280. I think it's 280 is where I'm at right now per finished hour. So, for example, if you had a 20,000 word book, roughly 10,000 words equals a finished hour. So for a 20,000 word book, if your price is $100 per finished hour, then you would get paid $200 for a 20,000 word book, if that makes sense. But yes, completely different than voiceover. Signs by Stu says, Brittany, yeah, they do have built-in mics on them, which are pretty decent, but XLR would be better. Yeah, that's a good point too. The Zoom recorders do have little attachments on them that I think actually does include a microphone. There are other accessories that you can purchase, like little attachments of like dual, what do they call them? My train's derailed, but they have like little baby XLR mics on them, sort of, or they look like it. Long story short, you could actually have the microphone accessory on the Zoom recorder and just record straight into it too. MJ Rod says, I've auditioned for a few, but have not been chosen for anything. It might be my voice specifically, but I'm definitely open to it. I would say just keep trying. Just keep trying. The trick with those books, though, is that you really have to get into character. You do. You have to sell it. Because if you don't, it's not believable. Because people listen to these books to travel outside of their own reality and go to somewhere else. Right? So you really have to act the part. You really have to be that character. And I don't know. I mean, it could, I don't know what you sound like. So it could be your voice. I mean, it could be your acting chops in the auditions. But I would say your next audition, whatever emphasis you're giving, double it so it really comes across. Try that. Kirk says, my Zoom 5 is great. Highly recommend for travel. Also, sexy, spicy geckos rule. Yes, they do. Love you, Kirk. You're so funny. Diane says, I haven't done any books yet, so I had to put no. And spicy books aren't something I really want to do. However, if it pays the bills and I'm struggling to get other work, I'd think about it. I was in the same place. I think we've all been in that place where we've got all the equipment. We don't have anything in queue. And we go, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do to start bringing in something, right? Something. But knowing that you can use a pseudonym makes it a little bit more tempting to try. Because as I said, most of those books are, that I have seen anyway, have been royalty share. So, and they're relatively short too. They're not like big, 90,000 word sagas. They're usually an hour-ish, long, maybe 2 hours. And sometimes those are even series, book 1, book 2, book 3. And I have found that once a rights holder likes your voice and they get good feedback on the first book, they might invite you back for the second, third, fourth, fifth, right? So give it a try. At least go and look at what the auditions are. Download the audition script and take a look at it and read it out loud and see if you can get through it. If you can get through it, then try it. Even if someone offered you the job, you can decline it if you want to, if it's maybe too spicy for your comfort level, but try it. Tony says, spicy books, by the tone of your voice, Angela, I'm assuming it's something like 40 Shades. Yeah, I mean, if you think about any kind of, I'm trying to think of a way that I can say this. There's lots of different niches and sub-niches of spicy books, and some of them are pretty crazy, and some of them are pretty vanilla. It just depends on what you are comfortable with, right? Right, right. Laura's here. Hey, Laura. She says, I do a lot of VO on the road in hotels with the same Sennheiser mic, small interface and laptop, and voice denoise isotope plugin helps with the AC noise and hotel hum. Play with it. Yeah, I think, what did Donnie use? I want to say that he told me that he used the voice denoise or the spectral denoise. I'm not sure which. I think it was the voice denoise. I need him to show me how he did it but apparently it can. Apparently that plugin can remove AC noise. So I'll be stoked to figure out how to use that. Signs by Stu says, yeah, marketing yourself, doing the technical stuff, dealing with customers, acting, being always available, reading bad writing with enthusiasm. It goes on. Yeah. Yes. I think when you get a script that was obviously Google Translate, right? It's not grammatically correct or written the way that an American would read it or say something in contemporary English, or American English. If it's word salad, it's tough. It's tough for sure. There's a lot more to voiceover than people realize. Absolutely. Sean says it beats being in the old office. Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Signs by Stu says, yeah, well, kind of. I used to be in a radio studio and that was cool. But yeah, driving, and I got out of radio a bit ago and went into IT work. Now I'm back into VO radio work. Use those skills that you know, use them to your advantage. You already have a lot more know-how, technological know-how, than most people do when they start out with voiceover. So you already have a big leg up coming from a VO radio background. So if you have those additional skills to offer to other VOs, why not? Right? Or even become like a mentor or like a consultant and show them how to do it themselves. I mean, there's lots of opportunities there. KN says hi. Hi, KN. Thanks for joining today. Let's see. Fazendek says, widget looks awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I really like it too. It's pretty cool. I was looking for something like this where I can highlight comments. But yeah, I really like it too. I think we'll keep this going. Amy says, me again. Hope you don't mind. No, ask away. It's what I'm here for, right? What is your studio setup? How do you keep outside noise out, and how do you treat the space? I can't completely keep outside noise out. I'm in a external room, and I say external because it's one of the rooms that is surrounded by exterior walls. So anybody walking by, kids in the playground, right outside, I can definitely hear them. Planes overhead, I can definitely hear them. But the biggest thing, or the best thing, I should say, that I did to my studio to help with the sound is hanging up all of these moving blankets. Because as we know, hard surfaces are what cause echo, right? You speak and your voice bounces around all of these rooms, including the ceiling and your desktop, and then go into the microphone and create that echo. But if you can reduce those hard surfaces and cover them with, softer things to help diffuse that bounce, including your desktop, your desk surface, that will definitely help. I think that was one of the biggest improvements that I made to this office in just that one step. But I can't completely keep outside noise out. I think I would like to have a whisper room or a Studio Bricks booth. I just don't have the room for it here in this house. But if I did, I would totally have one. And that way I could keep out the AC noise. However, it would get really, really hot. So that's something else that I have to keep in the back of my mind, is that when I do have a home that I have room for a booth, a standalone booth to put inside, I would really have to think about ventilation to make sure that I don't cook myself in it, especially here in the desert. Signs by Stu says that Amy, it looks like she is using pretty heavy moving blankets. I use some of the same ones. Yeah, I got these from Amazon. I think they came in a package of 6, maybe a dozen. I think it was 6. And they're pretty good size. I mean, they are pretty heavy. So whatever you use to hang them up, make sure that you can't just use like a corkboard thumbtack. They probably won't do it. You might have to use a pretty heavy duty thumbtack to hang these up. And don't forget your ceiling and your desk surface. I have a giant frog. I have a giant like gaming mouse pad. Gosh, that reduces the reflection from my desk surface too. Michael V says the genre selection box has a check mark for exclude erotica and sexuality. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, check your filters that if that box is checked, you're not going to see those books on ACX. So make sure that box is unchecked or specifically filter for those books, and you will see tons of them. Thank you, Michael. Edwin00 says the camera looks great and you so fine. Fiery blonde. Oh, yeah. Easy, Tiger. Have you tried any audio mute products? Audio mute. No, I have not. Audio mute. I do not. But I'm glad the camera looks good because this is a new camera and a new streaming software. So I'm glad everything looks great. That's what I was hoping for. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of comments in here. Okay. I think I'd catch up with you guys. Josh Tadlock says, are audiobooks doable for someone who also works a mundane job full time? Yes, done it. What kind of deadlines are common to see from authors? It mostly depends on the length of the book. I think my very first book was like 80 or 90,000 words. It was a big one. And I was working a full-time job at the time because I was dipping my toe in to see if this was something that I wanted to do. I'm an avid book nerd. I read a lot. I'm in the middle of like 4 different books right now for pleasure, right? I have about 4 audiobooks in queue, and then I also have 4 books that I'm personally reading. So I read a lot. I really enjoy it. And I thought if I could incorporate that love of reading into making or having it make money as well, and be a passive stream of income, then why not? So I dipped my toe in and I had completed probably a good 20, 30 books before I went full time in voiceover. So you absolutely can. You just have to make sure that you schedule the appropriate amount of time. But getting back to the time frames, I think that first 80,000 word book, because I worked a full-time job, I was able to get that rights holder to give me, I think, 2 months to finish the book. But typically now a book that size would take me about a month. I generally ask for about 30 days if I can, because especially right now, if you have more than one in queue, you need to finish up one before you start the next one. So I generally try to stay about 30 days per book or more, of course, if it's a larger book. But usually authors don't have any kind of issue with giving you that much time. Andre says, hey, Angela, you can use the Sony A6400 as a DSLR. You can shoot in 4K without it getting hot, then still operate with a USB charging cable and thus permanently record. I use it myself as well. I think I looked at the 6400. I bought a 5100 secondhand and I was using that. And then playing with all the settings, it would still shut off after an hour. And I like the idea of not having 2 cameras in my studio and having all of the extra cords and stuff plugged into my computer. I'm trying to streamline everything a little bit, but yeah, I like the crispness of the DSLR. And then you have, the ISO, and then you have all of the other stuff that you can do. But I'm just trying to simplify things. But I think maybe in the future, if I had that much money to dedicate to another streaming camera, I would definitely look at another Sony, maybe the 6000 series. I think that would be a good one. But thank you for that. I'm glad that it works for you. Let's file that away for future use. Amy says, in ACX, you can specify the types of books you do, like children's books, inspirational books. You can. There's filters there that you can specify what books that you want to audition for. And there's not only genres, but like subgenres. Like if you want to look at travel or religious, spiritual, business, finance, you can really specify what kind of books that you are looking for. Absolutely. Then Andre says, but you look great with any. Stop it. Stop it. Thank you, though. American Negroid Woman says, do you send the work as what file, like MP3? Excuse me. For audiobooks have to be delivered as MP3. If you're looking for the file requirements for ACX or for audiobooks, they're all the same cross platforms. You could go to acx.com and then look up their file formatting standards. But I have quite a few videos here on my channel where I go through the whole process, from finding a book to audition for, to recording it, to editing it and formatting it in the proper specs for ACX. But if you're working through ACX, you upload the files directly to ACX. If you're working off ACX, like for example, if a customer found you on Upwork to record their audiobook and they're going to upload those files to ACX, you just upload all of those files to Upwork for the customer, and then they download them and then upload them to ACX. So there's a few different ways that you can do it, but your final file for the audiobook needs to be according to ACX's standards. Brittany Beck says, does PayPal Business cost extra fees? If so, would you say it's worth it? Using PayPal Personal or Business, they do take a percentage of the money that comes in. I want to say that there's an exception. I think from transferring it to PayPal to your checking account is free. And I think there's even some of the partners, like partner websites, that don't charge a fee. But everything that you use for your business, every element, every vendor is going to want a piece to keep their business afloat. There's always going to be a fee for service, right? Regardless of what it is, which always blew me away why OBS was always free. I think that was the one thing that you don't have to pay for it. OBS is free. But StreamYard, for this level of, coolness, costs money. PayPal, it's a very small percentage. I want to say it's like 1-2%, something like that. It's still worth it though, because with PayPal Business, I can track my sales for the month. I can send out invoices. I can send out reminders on invoices. I can see what is paid and not paid. There's tons of stuff that you can do with PayPal Business. Absolutely, I think it's worth it. Diane says, I love PayPal for invoicing. Very user-friendly and easy to track. Yes, absolutely. Robert Palmer says, everyone viewing, please click on like, please. Thank you, Robert. She's taking time out of her day to do this. Thank you. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. But he's right. I do. But I enjoy it. I really do. I feel like I'm helping. And like I said, paying it forward. So it's gratifying for me. And the time I spent is validating hearing, some of your comments. I'm glad that you appreciate it, but thank you. But yes, hit that like button. Hit it right now. Thank you. Robert Palmer says, fuzzy balls are better than no balls at all, but a pillow fort is way better. Agreed. Treat your space. Treat your space. Diane says, what about using one of those mics made for Dragon that's a privacy mic? My only concern with one of those would be reducing mouth movement mobility. Travel light thoughts, though. Mics made for Dragon that's a privacy mic? You're not talking about one of those things that's like a cup that goes over your mouth, are you? I would definitely not use one of those, because it'll sound like you're talking into a tin can or into a plunger. Definitely, I would not use one of those. If that's what you're talking about, definitely not use one of those. Just treat your space. Put pillows, blankets all around you. You'll get a much better result. Ralph says, thank you. You also gave me advice on developing a rate sheet. Thanks so much. Well, good. Yeah, rate sheets are important. Rate sheets are important. And what I recently did is I went on to Canva and they have like pricing templates on Canva that you can use, and then you just edit it to make it look like something professional. You can make it look like, for this service it's this much, for this service it's this much, ad for rights, ad for music, this much, like a menu almost. And then that way you can download it as a PDF or whatever you want, and then you can send that to clients when they ask you about your pricing. And it's free on Canva. Molly says, I love how supportive you are of the newbies. Thanks for helping everyone out and being inspiring. Thank you for joining. And thank you. I mean, we all start in the same place, right? We're all trying to do the same thing. If you have a passion for this business and you really enjoy performing, recording voiceovers or producing audiobooks, then do it, right? See if you like it. Not everybody likes it, but I did. And I think it's good. I think it's good to be supportive of other people. Why not? It does so much more good than cutting people down or trying to take my spot. Oh, no, there's room for everybody. VoiceOver Van Deen says, hello, Angela. I've been late 2 weeks in a row. What happens if I make it 3? The frog has been here in your stead, sir. I need you to keep a shorter leash on the frog. Please and thank you. Signs by Stu says, we should all come up with fake names for each other. It's always better when you get a nickname. Yes. If you have something that you would prefer to call yourself, although I'll probably forget. So if you start a comment with the nickname of your choice, then I will use that nickname. Otherwise, it's going to be whatever your profile name is, because I'm never going to remember everybody's nickname. Good idea. I think that'll be fun. Diane says, getting through it would be the hard part, especially out loud. Yes, but it's a good test of if you can do it. I can't tell you how many times I had to walk out of here laughing just to get myself under control before I hit that record button. Diane says, vanilla I may be able to handle. Not a prude, just raised in a household where my parents never talked about sex, so it's not comfortable for me. I totally understand. And there are a lot of options in that genre. Some are very vanilla, and some are, right? So it just depends on what you're comfortable with, but take a look around on ACX. If you're going to look at ACX, use the filters to, look for those types of genres and see what comes up. Pull up the auditions and read them out loud. Read them to yourself first, maybe. And then if it's something that you can do, then read it out loud to see if you actually can do it. Molly says, I looked at auditioning for a very, very spicy one and couldn't even read it out loud without squirming and laughing. Yeah. I haven't leveled up to that stage yet. I'm in my 40s, girl, and I was still laughing and squirming. Gosh. Diane says, okay, that was another question I had. Are we allowed to correct the English, or do we have to read exactly as written? A poorly written book could be very hard. It's hard for everybody to read. It really is. If it looks like it's clearly maybe just Google Translate and maybe nobody has edited it, I would reach out to the rights holder and ask them if this is the final draft. I've had that happen before where someone had given me an unedited version, but I reached out and I said, hey, is this the final version that you want me to read or produce or use to produce the audiobook? And they were like, oh my God, no, it was a completely wrong book. It wasn't even the book that she paid me to read. So mistakes happen. But if it looks like it's just word salad, reach out to the rights holder and say, hey, is this the final edited version? If they say yes, then you can then offer some additional services in proofing. That might not work well with royalty share, although I think you still may be able to send them an invoice for proofing, but ACX will not halt the production to be sure that you're paid. But on places like Upwork or Fiverr, you can definitely do that. I've had authors pay me to proof their books beforehand, before I complete the audiobook, to move words around or whatever it is. But you typically want to read it read it how it is written. If there's an obvious typo, or if it should be a he instead of a she, that kind of stuff, simple mistakes, let the rights holder know so they can update the print version as well, because they may have had it edited a few times, but those editors had missed it. And because we are actively reading out every word, we might catch something that those editors didn't catch. So if you're finding something difficult to read, you find a typo, you find an error of some sort, reach out to the rights holder and let them know, or ask them if it's the final edited version. Or if it is and you still find something, then let them know so they can fix it on their end. It's the nice thing to do. Brittany says, my issue is I can read the spicy stuff without squirming, but only if I'm 100% sure I'm not going to be overheard. So I've only got from 5 to 7 a.m. when no one else in the family is awake yet. Yeah. Or late at night when everybody's asleep. Same. Deborah says, how much of an investment can someone expect just to get started in this business from scratch? I already have a laptop with audio editing capabilities that I've never used, but nothing else. You can start out relatively inexpensively. I think with most of us, myself included, we started out with a USB mic and a laptop, right? The most important element is to find some place that you have dedicated to doing the recording, because you don't want the place to change if you can help it. You want to have a dedicated spot where you can treat properly, reduce the reverb around you, and the mic position's not going to change. Nothing's going to change. So that way the sound is consistent from chapter to chapter to chapter, because sometimes even the smallest of changes, if I moved my mic away, that's definitely going to sound different, right? So you want to have a place that's going to be consistent sounding from chapter to chapter, chapter to job to job to job. So, but you can do it with a laptop and a USB mic. The only other thing that I can think of right off the top of my head to be aware of is the fan noise from the laptop. Your mic may pick it up if it's pretty close. I always recommend moving your laptop or your computer as far away from the mic in another room if you can. And there are tons of extra long cable options on Amazon to move your computer, laptop away from your mic if you can, because your mic will pick up your fan noise too and distort your voice when you're trying to remove it later. If you don't have the isotope plugins, apparently. I still need to learn how to use those. Science by Stu says, oh my gosh, you guys, we got so many comments in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of these. Diane, I tried that, but many times people want it spoken exactly like it's written. Also, I'm not going to spend time to rewrite the script. They actually acted negative to fixes. Interesting. Yeah, if you reach out to the rights holder and say, hey, is this the final draft? And they say yes, and then you offer to proof it and they say no, read it how it's written. That's what they're paying you to do. I mean, it's difficult, but you can do it. And Diane says, yeah, thank you, Science by Stu. Denise Hampton says, what kind of mic is that? It's nice. This is a Sennheiser MKH 416. It's a shotgun mic. So it only picks up what's directly in front of it for the most part. But I started out with a Blue Yeti. This is a USB mic, pretty common. And then I upgraded to a Rode NT1. And then I got the Sennheiser. And then I've had the Sennheiser for a couple of years, about 3 years now, maybe. And I bought a Lewitt 440 pure. I have yet to take it out of its box. Don't hate me. I will eventually take it out and review it, but I've just been too darn busy. Diane says, I'm planning to put a towel on my desktop. That will work. That will definitely work. Even if you go to like your local thrift store and grab like an old blanket, sometimes they actually have moving blankets. Shake them out good, but you can use those to, put on your walls to help dampen the sound. That's pretty cost effective. Brandon's here. Hey, Brandon. I've been on here for 5 minutes and haven't heard you mention me once. Well, I haven't seen you yet. You have to join to be mentioned, Brandon. I find this to be outlandish. Now that I have your attention, everyone should check out Angela's storefront. Ooh, them shirts. You're awesome, Brandon. Yeah. What Brandon's referring to. Oh my gosh. Hold on. As a voice actor, I wanted to wear voice actor specific shirts. So when I wore them, people would stop me and say, "Hey, are you a voice actor? What does that even mean?" It's a conversation starter. Easy for you to say. A conversation starter. So I also have shirts with my logo on them, right? And I couldn't find a whole lot of shirts that I liked. So I said, I'm going to create my own. So if you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com/shop, there's a ton of mugs and t-shirts and kinds of stuff that I created it's all voiceover specific. Some of it's kind of silly, some of it's, words that I say like punching fear in the face, stuff like that. But check it out. I appreciate it. Brandon. Kim's here. Hey, Kim. Hi, Angela. I'm just getting started with all of this. Your channel has been super helpful. I'm excited to catch you live finally. I'm excited that you're here. Thank you for joining. And I'm glad that my rantings have been helpful. I appreciate that. Amy says, wow, thanks for having all that info on how to find and submit work on ACX. Where do I find that? Right here on my channel. I think it's in the playlist called Freelance Voiceover Tips or Voiceover Tips. And what is my playlist called? Let me see if I can. It's something like that. It's like voiceover. I told you my memory was garbage, okay? Now I have to know. Hold on. Oh, I hit too far. Oh, okay. So if you're on my channel and you go to the playlists and you go to freelance voiceover tips, and then if you put in like search the channel and you search for ACX or audiobook, you'll come up with hands full of videos that walk you through the whole process. Afimi 101? Done. Okay. Diane says, yes, one of those cup style privacy mics. Yeah, I wouldn't. No, it's a gimmick. Don't use it. Okay. I wouldn't bother investing. Yeah. Don't. No, don't use one of those. M. Cotterell says, agreed on the generosity and helping the newbies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining and hanging out with us. I appreciate that. Laura says, thanks for your infectious inspiration and all you do. Infectious? Am I infectious? No one's ever called me infectious before. Thank you. Kim says, oh, the frog. Is there anything you do to combat this? I have this problem too. You know what? I was going to show you this. I'm a avid TikToker too. I love watching people on TikTok, and there's a lot of voice actors on TikTok, and some of them have some really great tips and ideas. And one of them, I think she's Astoria Redhead. She takes this fire cider. She takes a shot of this before she starts narrating, and it's apple cider vinegar. Just a word of warning, it's apple cider vinegar with honey and turmeric and horseradish and habanero pepper. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's really, really hard to get down, but as it goes down, it really clears out the goo, the frog goo, not to be gross, but it does. It really helps to clean everything out. So I got my little Mother of Dragons shot glass, and then I shake it up real good, and then you take a little shot of it, and it really does help. I haven't done it today, so that's my excuse. I haven't done it today, but when I start to narrate or work for the day, I'll take a shot, and it actually does help. It is tough. It is tough to get down. It burns, but it does help. Robert says, 3 times late, 10 lashes with a wet noodle. I agree. Although I don't care if you're late. You can be late. Pop in, pop out. I'm here for you guys whenever you can. If you can join, great. If not, you can watch the replay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Diane says, adding my gratitude for all that you give for newbies. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. I really do. You guys are always just super awesome. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. All right, let's go to Robert says, to eject the frog, give throat singing a try. Oh, if you don't know what throat singing is, go to YouTube and just type in throat singing. I've seen a lot of people do it. I don't know if I could. You can eject quite a bit more than you thought was there. Maybe a cricket or a dreaded gnat. I don't know how I'm going to eat lunch after watching this. Oh my gosh, guys, I have a meeting in a half an hour. I got to get going. So let's... All right, let's get through this quickly. Afimi 101. I consider myself as having a general American accent, but I've had people all my life who think I'm American and others who can hear that I'm from elsewhere. I never know who will hear what. Yeah, I think depending on where you're from really dictates what they hear, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Pritchard's Book Cafe says, from Stephen in St. Joe, Missouri. On a side note, can I have a personal Facebook account and a business VO Facebook account? I understand you can't. I think that you can. I think I do. I think I have a personal account and a business Facebook account. Unless they're changing stuff and I don't know it. But I think that you can. Diane Jerky says, I'm so new that I'm still setting up my first recording space and getting familiar with my equipment. So all of your content is so helpful. Getting everything set up and the right equipment to play nice together is definitely takes some time and some finesse and some patience, for sure. Valcat Stalwart says, hi, Angela. Greetings from Temecula in SoCal. I grew up right around the corner from there. Thanks for all your valuable help. This channel is a gold mine. Yeah, I steer clear of the spicy stuff. And you can. You could do it or not do it. That is the gloriousness of this industry. You can say no if you want to. VoiceOver Van Deen says, regarding spicy, I met a guy who said he acted as a dungeon master at weekends. He really didn't look the type. LOL'd later when I discovered he meant Dungeons and Dragons and not BDS. Oh yeah, D&D is coming back. Oh, show. Diane says, oh, awesome. Proofreading is a skill I can offer. Yeah, if you can, definitely offer it because people need it. Jeffrey says, jumping on those gratitude tales, Angela, thank you so much for your kindness. I am so inspired. I leave your live chats with so much confidence, wishing you all the best. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. Valcat says, I want my family and friends to share my audiobook with their friends without apologizing. Well, if you're using a pseudonym, they won't know it's you. Although you can't really share it then, can you? You can. It might be uncomfortable. Good point. Diane's laughing at VoiceOver Van Deen. All right, we got to wrap this up, guys. I have a meeting coming up here shortly. Kirk says, Apple silicone laptop, no fan. It's a beautiful thing. Interesting. I keep hearing about all of these computers that have no fans. Interesting. Diane says, yep, we're screwing moving blankets to the walls, floor, and ceiling. Just got the last two I needed. Nice. They definitely worked for me. All voice, no echo says, great sounding noise floor. Having a great sounding noise floor, if you naturally have a low noise floor, then you're in a much better space than most of us. We all have to use noise gates or noise reducing software to reduce our noise floor. So if you would naturally have one, then you're in a great spot. And we're all envious of you. She said, I'm a bit late, but hello. You can be late if you want to. It's fine. It's okay. I'm actually running late. I'm about a half an hour over what I typically do because I have a new camera, one that doesn't turn off after an hour. Robert says, infectious. They have a pill for that. We don't want a pill for that. No, I want to stay infectious. I like being infectious, Robert. Amy says, I've heard chewing gum helps get rid of them. It can. Some people eat green apple, something with a lot of citric acid to help kind of clean things up, or brushing your teeth just prior. Also, a lot of water, but sometimes none of that stuff helps. And you just have a naturally sticky mouth. And that you need to get plugins like the mouth D-Click from Isotope has been huge. Huge for me. Cut my editing down like 80%. Just not having to manually remove all the mouth noise. Oh my God. All Voice No Echo says, my 416 is challenged getting to negative 60 dB. You might have to use a plugin to get your noise floor down low. Because I think that 416 has a low self noise, but if your room is not super low in noise, then you might need to use a plugin to help reduce some of that ambient noise. I use NS1 from Waves. That one's a great plugin to help reduce noise. And as long as you don't crank it up to to the way top, if you use a little bit, it's really great at reducing the noise, but not so much at distorting your voice in the process. So it's a great plugin. Klaus says, thank you. And then Diane says, you just create a page from your personal account on Facebook and you could have more than one of those. Right. Oh, yeah, for the business page. All right. I think this is the last comment, guys. I have got to get going. I've got a meeting coming up. Janie Baby says, hey, Angela, do you ever have to audibly do sound effects with your voice, like a crack or the sound of someone getting squished? Yes. Especially if you're doing video games, stuff like that, then you need to have audible, like exertion noises. Like if you're climbing a rope or running, that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I have. It's all part of voice acting, right? All right, guys, I'm going to have to go. I've been on for almost 2 hours, but I do have a meeting that I need to get to here in a few minutes. So if you would like to join me next week, I'll have another live here on Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to join our weekly group meetings where we meet as a group and read for each other, share demos, catch up on our challenges for the week. It's a lot of fun, but check out my voiceoverangela.com website. Go to the plans and pricing page and check out the Platinum membership. I'd love to have you there. But thank you, everybody, again for joining today, and I will see you all next week. Bye.